We are counting down the 10 controversial food ingredients and chemicals that Europe banned, yet are still hiding in products sold at Sainsbury's. From preservatives linked to health risks, to dyes that spark behavior warnings abroad, and even invisible chemicals that build up in your body, this ranking exposes the gulf between UK and EU food safety. Which ingredient tops the list as the most alarming? Let us begin with number 10. BHA and BHT are preservatives that keep cereals and snack bars fresh on Sainsbury's shelves. While both are allowed in the UK and the EU, there is a sharp divide when it comes to the youngest consumers. The EU banned BHA and BHT from all infant foods. The UK still permits them in formulas and toddler snacks up to 100 milligrams per kilogram. Animal studies have linked these additives to tumour formation in rats, which led EU regulators to take a stricter approach. In the UK, you will still see BHT in products like Kellogg's cornflakes and McVitie's digestives, quietly present in foods many families eat every day. 6 artificial dyes, sunset yellow, allura red, tartrazine, carmozine, quinoline yellow, and ponceau 4R became notorious in Europe after studies linked them to increased hyperactivity in children. In 2010, an EU directive required any food containing these colours to carry a warning label about possible effects on children's behaviour. That label had a dramatic effect. Most European brands reformulated their recipes and switched to natural alternatives. In the UK, though, these dyes never faced a ban. Sainsbury's removed them from most own-brand foods, but imported world food marinades and some branded products still slip through, keeping these controversial colours on British shelves. Walk down the confectionery aisle in France or Germany, and Skittles packs list only fruit and vegetable extracts for colour, with natural ingredients like black carrot, hibiscus, and spirulina. In Sainsbury's UK stores, the same Skittles often contain synthetic dyes like E102 and E110, ingredients the EU restricts or bans. This dual recipe is not limited to Skittles. M&M's and other brands follow the same pattern. Companies quietly reformulate for Europe's strict rules, then ship cheaper, dye-laden versions to UK shelves. The price difference is pennies, but the result is a two-tier system: natural colours for EU consumers and synthetic chemicals for British shoppers, all under the same bright packaging. Plastic fragments in butter, cloth in spreads, and metal shards in pastries have all triggered urgent recalls in the UK within the last few years. In 2019, Lurpak Spreadable was pulled from Sainsbury's shelves after customers found clear plastic pieces in 500-gram tubs. A year later, seriously spreadable mature cheddar faced a recall for the same reason: the risk of plastic contamination. In 2022, Flora Buttery warned shoppers about flexible blue cloth left behind during manufacturing. Even baked goods are not immune. Waitrose recalled almond croissants and lemon tarts after metal fragments were discovered. Each incident forced companies to issue public alerts and refunds, regardless of whether the brand was budget or premium. These cases reveal a pattern. Physical contaminants can slip through quality checks, reminding shoppers that food safety risks go far beyond just chemical additives. Tartrazine, known on labels as E102, brings a bright yellow pop to sweets and drinks found in UK supermarkets. Its cheerful colour hides a troubling legacy. In 2007, a landmark double-blind trial at the University of Southampton tested the effects of E102 and 5 other dyes on British children. The results were hard to ignore. Children consuming these additives showed a measurable increase in hyperactivity scores compared to those who did not. The evidence pushed the European Union to require a warning label with the wording "may have an adverse effect on activity and attention in children." The label alone was enough to make most manufacturers switch to natural alternatives across Europe. Yet in the UK, tartrazine is still allowed and can be found in certain branded sweets, world food marinades, and even some breakfast drinks marketed to families. While Sainsbury's has removed E102 from its own brand products, parents shopping for colourful treats can still find it, often without any clear warning. A quick glance at the front of a Sainsbury's packet often promises natural, simple, or even clean ingredients. But those reassuring claims can be misleading. UK food regulations do not require brands to highlight additives banned or heavily restricted in the EU. There is no rule forcing a warning for colours linked to hyperactivity or for preservatives that the EU will not allow in baby foods. Instead, controversial ingredients hide in the fine print, sometimes listed under E numbers or technical names. This information gap lets products appear healthier than they are, leaving British consumers at a disadvantage. Without clear labels or EU-style warnings, it is up to shoppers to read every ingredient and question claims that look too good to be true. Bisphenol A, known as BPA, has lined metal cans for decades, found in everything from baked beans to tinned soup and coconut milk on Sainsbury'S shelves. In April 2023, the European Food Safety Authority recalculated what it considers a safe daily intake for BPA. The new limit is 20,000 times lower than before, a drop so steep it effectively bans the chemical from most food packaging in Europe. Scientists cited evidence that BPA can disrupt hormones even at minuscule levels, with links to fertility problems, immune disorders, and developmental risks in children. Despite this, the United Kingdom still relies on its 2015 guidelines, which are now vastly outdated compared to the European Union position. Shoppers in Britain continue to buy canned goods with BPA-based linings, unaware that European regulators now treat any detectable amount as a potential health risk. The gap between the two standards leaves families in the United Kingdom exposed to a chemical Europe no longer tolerates in everyday tins. PFAS chemicals, known as forever chemicals, are still found in food packaging across the UK, even as Europe moves to ban them outright. In 2024, the EU set a timeline for removing all PFAS from food contact materials, including bakery wraps and greaseproof papers. These substances do not break down in the environment or in the human body. Instead, they build up over a lifetime, with studies linking them to cancers, hormone disruption, and immune system damage. In the UK, PFAS remain legal, while the government continues to consult on possible restrictions. Environmental groups like FIDRA have pressed major supermarkets, including Sainsbury'S, to cut PFAS from bakery grab-and-go wrappers, but progress is slow. Everyday exposure adds up. Each sandwich or pastry picked up in a paper bag can leave a trace behind. Unlike most food additives, PFAS are not just ingredients, they are invisible, persistent, and nearly impossible to avoid once they enter your body. While Europe acts, UK consumers are left waiting for protection. Titanium dioxide, known on ingredient lists as E171, once brightened everything from cake icing to salad dressings across Europe. In 2021, the European Food Safety Authority reviewed nearly 10,000 studies, the largest evidence base for any additive on the list. Their conclusion was clear: E171's tiny particles could damage DNA, and there was no way to guarantee its safety in food. The European Union acted quickly and banned E171 as a food additive in May 2022. Products reformulated and the stark white shine disappeared from European bakery counters and sweet wrappers. Yet, in the United Kingdom, regulators looked at the same mountain of evidence and decided to keep E171 legal, arguing there was no proven risk at current levels. As a result, titanium dioxide still hides on Sainsbury's shelves, in icing tubes, cake decorations, sauces, sweets, and even some supplements. For British shoppers, the same additive that Europe rejected over DNA damage concerns remains an everyday ingredient, with no warning and no sign of change on the horizon. Across every example, a single pattern stands out. Europe moves quickly to block risky ingredients, while the UK often waits. When the EU banned titanium dioxide E171 after reviewing thousands of studies, the UK kept it legal. As Europe set a timeline to remove all PFAS from food packaging, the UK delayed and asked for more evidence. The EU slashed BPA exposure limits to near zero in 2023, while the UK still uses guidelines from a decade earlier. EU required warning labels for artificial dyes, forced brands to change recipes, but the UK left the choice to manufacturers. Northern Ireland, under the Brexit Protocol, now follows the stricter EU rules, so shoppers in Belfast get different protection than those in Birmingham. Yet this slow pace is not universal. In cosmetics, the UK banned 64 hazardous chemicals in a single regulatory update, matching EU speed. The difference comes down to priorities. When the political will exists, swift action is possible. For food, British shoppers remain exposed to chemicals that Europe refuses to tolerate, simply because the rules have not caught up. Across all 10 ingredients, one pattern stands out. The UK moves slower than Europe to protect shoppers from chemical risks. This regulatory lag means British consumers face exposures Europe no longer tolerates. Food safety isn't just about what's banned, it's about who acts first. Stay vigilant.